I used to believe that as long as parents were strict enough and firm enough, their children would listen. But reality turned out to be completely different from what I had imagined. Every day, the same scene repeated itself. I said something once. My child didn't listen. I repeated it. She kept doing whatever she wanted. By the third time, I felt myself getting irritated, exhausted, and even doubting my ability as a parent, especially when we were out in public. All it took was one moment of whining or talking loudly, and I could feel dozens of eyes turning toward us, judging eyes, critical eyes, eyes that seemed to whisper, "Why can't you control your child?" But what truly made me stop and rethink everything was when I saw Japanese children, tiny ones, barely older than mine, sitting quietly on the train, waiting patiently in restaurants, and cooperating effortlessly, without anyone raising their voice. I stared in disbelief and asked myself, why can they do what I can't? I once thought the answer must be strict discipline, but the truth turned out to be entirely different. When I observed how Japanese parents raise their children, I realized my child wasn't hard to teach. I was simply using the wrong approach. The more I observed, the more I realized something I had never considered. The problem was not the child. The problem was how I understood the child. I used to believe, if my child didn't listen, she was being stubborn. If she didn't cooperate, she was misbehaving on purpose. If parenting felt hard, my child was difficult. To make her listen, I needed to be strict, firm, and authoritative. But after watching Japanese parents, I discovered the most important difference. They don't focus on the behavior. They focus on the root of the behavior. And the root always lies in emotions, needs, connection. They understand. A child who doesn't listen is not bad. Their nervous system is overwhelmed. A child who screams isn't attacking you. They're drowning in emotions they can't regulate. A child who refuses to cooperate isn't defiant. They feel unsafe or disconnected. Japanese parenting is built on a profound idea. A child cannot learn how to behave when they are still struggling with how they feel. Meaning, children only listen once their emotions are stable and their connection with the parent is intact. That's why Japanese parents rarely yell. Not because they're overly gentle, but because they know yelling doesn't address the real cause. Instead of asking, "How do I make my child listen right now?" they ask, "What made my child lose connection with me? What emotion is driving this behavior? How can I create a safe environment for cooperation?" And once I understood this, I realized, all this time, I had been trying to fix the leaves, while Japanese parents were nurturing the roots. Why the Japanese approach works. As I studied more closely, I learned that Japanese parenting is built on three powerful psychological principles. Children can only listen once their emotions are regulated. A child who is anxious, angry, overwhelmed, or overstimulated cannot absorb instructions. Their brain switches from learning mode to survival mode. Yelling weakens listening. It doesn't strengthen it. Japanese parents calm the child's nervous system first, and then guide the behavior. Small daily habits form lifelong behavior. Japanese children aren't naturally calm. They grow up in an environment where order and routine gently shape their sense of responsibility. Everyday habits like waiting in line, putting shoes away neatly, cleaning up after play, speaking softly in public, wiping the table after meals, become part of their identity, not taught once, but repeated consistently. Children learn by watching, not by listening. This realization changed everything for me. Parents often say, "Stop yelling, be polite, clean your toys," but children learn from what they see, not what they hear. Japanese parents rarely lecture. They model the behavior they want, and children mirror it naturally. A shift in belief. Once I understood all this, many beliefs I once held tightly suddenly fell apart. I used to think, my child doesn't listen because she's stubborn. Kids need strict discipline to behave. Punishment is necessary for respect. Sometimes yelling is the only way. But I was wrong. My child wasn't challenging me. She was trying to communicate. Behavior is not the enemy. It is the message. Once I shifted how I saw my child, everything began to change. The 7 Japanese Parenting Secrets. I won. AMI. the deep emotional bond formed in early childhood. In Japan, there is a deep belief. To raise an independent child later, you must first allow the child to fully depend on you during the early years. It sounds contradictory, but it aligns perfectly with modern developmental psychology. Japanese parents often hold their children a lot, respond very quickly whenever their child needs them, allow children ages 0–3 to follow the mother or father everywhere, give their child the feeling of being unconditionally loved. Many people assume this will make children clingy or weak, but in reality, children who have strong emotional attachment tend to be less rebellious because they do not need to fight for attention through negative behavior. A child who feels valued and deeply loved naturally forms the thought, I don't want to make my parents sad. That is the foundation of genuine cooperation. E2. Teaching through action, not words. Japanese parents believe that what children see is far more important than what they hear. Instead of yelling, clean up your toys, stop making a mess, you must be polite, they choose to demonstrate the behavior. For example, a Japanese mother will quietly sit on the floor, gather toys one by one, and say, let's return the toys to their home. Children will observe, imitate, and adopt it as the standard behavior. Science calls this learning by imitation. Children under 7 learn fastest through observation rather than verbal instruction. That's why Japanese children bow, say thank you, keep quiet in public, sit still in restaurants, even when no one forces them. I3. We is more important than me. In Japanese culture, children are taught they are part of a group, and their behavior affects those around them. This is taught through simple phrases. Let's speak quietly so others can relax. If everyone ran like you, the restaurant would be really noisy, right? We keep things clean so other kids can have space to play. Children gradually learn empathy, awareness, perspective taking. Obedience doesn't come from pressure. It comes from understanding. I do this because it's good for everyone. When a child understands they belong to us, they naturally adjust to maintain harmony. 4. Using natural consequences, not punishment. Japanese parents don't believe in punishment. They believe real-life consequences teach best. Examples: refuse to wear a coat, feel cold outside. Throw toys aggressively, toys break, feel the loss. Don't put things away, can't find them later. Importantly, no yelling, no, I told you so. No shaming, no fear. Parents simply say, how do you feel now that the toy is broken? What should we do differently next time? Children draw their own lesson. No fear, no resistance. Natural consequences build true self-discipline. I5. Small responsibilities, big value. In Japan, children are given responsibilities very early, not as punishment, but as a sign of trust. A 3–4-year-old can water plants, fold towels, wipe tables, help place dishes on the dining table. Older children clean their classroom, sweep hallways, help serve lunch, prepare their school items. No one does the tasks for them. No one demands perfection. Parents simply say, thank you, you helped a lot. Feeling useful is one of the strongest motivations for a child to cooperate. When a child believes, I am a contributor, not a burden, they naturally behave responsibly and respectfully. IY6. Gentle persistence, not battles. One of the things that amazed me most is that Japanese parents rarely confront their children. When a child doesn't want to leave the playground, they don't yell, go home right now. They kneel down, look into the child's eyes, and say, you're having fun, right? But it's time to go. Would you like one last slide, or say goodbye to the swing? The small choice helps the child feel respected, not forced. Parents repeat the request with the same gentle tone until the child agrees. Boundaries remain firm, but the child's emotions are honored. This is the key to discipline without tears. I7. Emotional regulation. Through the parent's calmness. Japanese parents see their own calmness as the emotional compass for their children. When a child cries, screams, gets angry, parents do not erupt emotionally. They Sit close. Place a gentle hand on the child's shoulder. Whisper, "I'm here with you," and breathe slowly for the child to mirror. Research shows children's nervous systems synchronize with their caregivers. The calmer the parent, the faster the child calms down. Children gradually learn that big emotions are not dangerous. They can soothe themselves. They can choose how to respond. This is the foundation of self-control, cooperation, respect, emotional intelligence. After observing Japanese parenting, I realized many mistakes that most modern parents, including myself, often make. Expecting children to listen immediately. Thinking yelling creates respect. Demanding behaviors we haven't modeled. Inconsistent boundaries. Doing things for the child instead of teaching them. Punishing instead of guiding. These minutes backed mistakes weaken the parent-child connection, making cooperation harder. What gave me the most comfort after learning from Japanese parents was this: you don't have to be a perfect parent. Your child doesn't need a flawless parent. Your child needs someone who listens, someone who can pause, someone who apologizes when wrong, someone who stays calm when things get hard, someone who tries to be better than yesterday. You don't need to change everything at once. Just one gentle sentence, one moment of patience, one modeled action, one small responsibility entrusted to your child. Small changes, repeated daily, create profound transformation. If you are watching this, I want you to know you are not alone. You are not a bad parent. You are someone trying to learn, understand, and love better. And that already makes you a great parent. If you want to continue learning the gentle, respectful, deeply effective Japanese parenting approach, please like this video and subscribe to Better Mind, Better Days so we can continue this meaningful journey together. Parenting is long, but it's beautiful, and you have me walking beside you,